All right, so after you've got your combination of your leaves and your tree kind of background all on one Illustrator document, and you've changed up your line variants. Remember, with our selection tool, we can select a line and we can start to change the thickness. We can also change the uniform. And then, so once we've done all of that and we've got all of our line work done, then what we're going to do is we need to open up Photoshop. And then remember, we can do that from here in the Finder, go to Applications, and we should see the Photoshop folder. And we double click on that and Photoshop shall open. And we're going to go New File. And we want to go to Print. And we'll also go Letter. And we're going to make sure this says 300 on the resolution, but it should. We're going to hit Create. And then we should end up with a canvas the same size as what we had in Illustrator. And then, so what we can do, there we go. Then what we can do now is we can go back to Illustrator, and then we go right up here to Select. We go All, and then we grab one of those lines, and it should take everything at the same time, and we're going to drag it from program to program. As long as we have a location for it to be dropped into, it should work. So we're clicking on this. I'm not letting go. I'm going to drag this into Photoshop. See how Photoshop opens up? I do not let go until actually Photoshop opens, where it does that, and then I'll let go, and then now I have on one layer my whole design. And then if it does do anything weird on you, like on mine, it does not seem to be the same size, you should be able to just kind of hold shift. You can resize this a little bit because it's kind of more of an abstract drawing. You don't necessarily have to worry as much about keeping it in proportion or anything like that. But one thing to keep in mind is that unlike Illustrator, we will not be able to see any drawing off the edge of the paper. The other thing to keep in mind too, when you are resizing this, if you just want to move one side at a time, you hold Shift, and that will kind of do that. So once you have it where you want it, you can hit Return, and now we have this nice little layer with all our line work on there. And then we can come right over here to this little lock in the Layers palette. We'll click on that so it's locked, and then we are going to add a new layer, and then we're going to go to our brush tool, which is right here. And then if we go right up here to Window with brush settings, something like this should pop out. And with your drawing tablet plugged in, we are going to want to highlight the word transfer, and we're going to want to change this on both the opacity jitter and the flow jitter. Change both of those to pen pressure. That way when you press lightly, and then we're going to go ahead and lock it, but that way when you press lightly, your brush tool will lightly come in, and then if you press harder, it'll come in darker. And then what you can do right here is you can start to grab if you double click on or single click on the foreground color, we can start to change our colors. So we can change it over here, and then we can start to color in some of those sections. You can change the size of your brush right up here. So if you need it to be a little bit thicker, you can do that. And then we're just going to start to paint. Also right here, the hardness of your brush, you can change that there down to 0. And then it'll kind of give you a little bit more of like a faded edge. And then you're going to start to paint. Now, the other thing you can do right here is you can change the type of brush. So if you wanted, let's say, general brushes, you could try something here. You might get a nice textured brush. You can try to open this folder. The big thing to keep in mind though is if I slide this over, I want to make sure that the symbol is for the actual brush tool and not for the eraser tool or a different tool. But let's say I chose this one, and then now my brush kind of look like this, which might give it a little bit of a different texture. Now if you notice, it does look like it's painting over my black lines. When I take this layer that I'm painting on, because right now it is on top of everything, so if I take this and I move this underneath, now it'll be underneath those black lines. And then you are going to go ahead and start to color this in and digitally paint it. And when you are finished, you are going to go File, Save a Copy, change this Photoshop to JPEG. Make sure you're paying attention to where it's being saved, and you may want to name it. You could call it Leaf Design or Line Design. And then save that. And then when this pops up, make sure this goes all the way over to the right. Baseline standard, hit OK. And then you're going to turn that in.